signs magistrate jurisdiction order into law. State House of Assembly passes Teachers Continuous Training Institute Bill 2022. Plus, President Muhammadu Buhari and Cameroonian counterpart Paul Biya jointly inaugurate Ekong Mfum border bridge in Ekong local government area. Details of these and more shortly. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the news. I am Uduak Heka. In a bid to bring access to justice easier and closer to the people, Cross River State Governor Professor Ben Ayade has signed the increase of magistrate jurisdiction order into law. Paul Lebel reported that this was at the State Executive Chambers, Calabar. The report.
The Magistrate Court has a limit to entertain civil matters, which has remained the same for the past 17 years in Cross River State. But with this signing, the limits have been elevated from 1 to 10 million naira for different cadres of magistrates.
I hereby sign to law an order which will be cited as increased jurisdiction of magistrates in Civil Matters Order 2022. The social import of this is that we are taking administration of the law closer to our people, so that those who have needs to approach the courts will not have to look for a high court, but can access any court where there's a magistrate court because of the increased jurisdiction. By so doing, access to law and access to legal services, access to justice becomes much closer to our people.
The State Chief Judge speaks on the significance of the increase.
There are very many people in the rural areas who have to travel out to where there is a high court. But today, in every local government, we have a chief magistrate court. So they can go there to lay their claims, provided what they're claiming for is from 10 million naira and less.
The governor has the powers to increase and revoke the magistrate jurisdiction order according to Section 31, subsection 1 of the Magistrate Court Law of Cross River State. In Calabar, Paul Abel, Nta News.
Meanwhile, the State House of Assembly has passed the Cross River State Teachers Continuous Training Institute Bill 2022. The passage of the bill came after a report of the Committee on Education presented by its chairman, Hilary Bisson, representing Bokitu in the State House of Assembly. According to Bisson, teaching and learning requires well-trained and dedicated teachers to implement the teaching curriculum and for effective service delivery. Bisson further emphasized that the Institute will continuously retrain teachers as well as assist in providing infrastructure and instructional facilities to enhance teaching competence for quality teaching and learning. He said that the Institute will endow teachers with modern teaching skills, improve classroom performance, as well as make basic facilities, among other things. After the bill was passed, the Speaker, Ethan Williams, directed the clerk to forward clean copies to the governor for his assent. The Court of Appeal sitting in Port Harcourt has affirmed Senator Digi Eremeyo as the authentic candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC for the Bayelsa East Senatorial District for the 2023 polls. The report is here presented from our studio.
In a unanimous judgment of the three panel of justices led by Justice Ikia, the court dismissed the appeal filed by Festus Omoni, who was the appellate. The panel described the AA lacking in merit. The appeal court upheld the decision of the trial court, which found the conduct of the primary election of Bayelsa East Senatorial District as being substantially in compliance with the Electoral Act. With the verdict, Senator Degi Eremieyo, who is the current chairman, Senate Committee on the Host Communities Producing Oil and Gas, is the APC candidate for Bayelsa East Senatorial District.
In a bid to increase trade and strengthen cooperation between African countries, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari and his Cameroonian counterpart Paul Biya have jointly inaugurated a two-lane border bridge linking the two countries together at Mfum in Ikom local government area of Cross River State. According to the report, the 1.5 kilometers bridge is a major economic route connecting the ECOWAS and ECAS, thereby facilitating investment and growth in the region. The Ekok-Mfum Joint Border Bridge is one of the projects implemented by Nigeria and Republic of Cameroon with support of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, and other donor agencies aimed at improving the efficiency of logistic chain of transportation by removal of traffic barriers along Enugu-Bamenda corridor. Inaugurating the project, Presidents Buhari and Paul Biya of Cameroon, who were represented, see the bridge as a confidence-building measure to increase the efficiency of the main transportation corridors in Africa, which will stimulate regional and international trade.
We have always been one, and therefore this can only help in facilitating coming closer together and sharing the same destiny.
The bridge is a symbol of fruitful cooperation between Cameroon and Nigeria.
The symbolic presentation of the key by the ECOWAS representative is to open the project for use.
This bridge is part of Route 8. We're not just connecting Nigeria and Cameroon. We are trying to connect Lagos to Mombasa in Kenya. And this is the significance of this bridge.
At the level of ECOWAS, the projects have been key priorities under respective ECOWAS strategic frameworks.
Here is an infrastructure that a lot has been spent on, and we should ensure that it's used. The purpose for which, or the vision for which the project was conceptualized, should not pass us by.
The two-lane bridge constructed to replace the old hanging bridge will be working in conjunction with the joint border post, which was also inaugurated to improve cross-border cooperation and security. From Ikom local government area of Cross River State, Uduak Etam, NTA News. The deplorable state of Calabar to Odukani Road has continued to be a nightmare for commuters and motorists plying the road. The situation became worse for motorists as the lament being locked up in a gridlock for over 3 days on the road with no hope of arriving their destinations. Ode Aleyo, who visited the felt portion of the road, has the situation reports.
Although construction work is still ongoing at the Calabar-Itu Highway, yet there are failed portions of some parts of the road, thereby making motorists to spend several man-hours to continue their journey.
Been sleeping in this hold up for several days. We have been here. Sometimes we come here, we spend 4 or 5 days. There is no access road.
The suffer what we suffer here, everybody knows say we suffer a lot.
It took the intervention of another construction company handling other portions of the road to provide palliative measure to salvage the situation. NTA camera caught up with the project supervisor of the Sematec construction firm handling Okrikan-Okwiboko axis of the road.
So we have to come here to intervene, make it motorable, so that conservators can have access, go through, and we can also have access to take our materials. What we are doing now, the conservators have seen it that Sematec is willing to work, Sematec is willing to do the needful to make sure that the road the road is motorable at all time of the year.
He assured that the company will continue to carry out remedial works while concentrating on the area allocated to their firm to ease movement on the only entry and exit route linking Calabar to other parts of the country. In Calabar, Ode Aleyo, NTA News.
The federal government has continued pushing for diversification of the nation's economy, and maritime business needs to be effectively utilized. But how are Nigerians using the industry? The report is here presented from our studio.
The maritime sector is no doubt one of the transportation routes for goods and passengers via water, using marine resources, convenience, and navigational instruments. The sector, backed up with the Nigerian law, is concerned with the enthronement of global best practices in providing maritime services. However, the sector faces many challenges like persistent supply and demand imbalances, environmental imperatives, employment issues, as well as the safety of workers in the shipping and shipping industries, vessel maintenance, foreigners cheating Nigerians, while insecurity along the waterways also pose challenges to operators of the industry. For the nation to benefit from potentials of the maritime sector, it means therefore that these critical challenges has to be surpassed to participate fully in maritime trade to derive maximum benefits.
Joining me in the studio now is the Chief Executive Officer, Bright Flow Logistics Services, Mrs. Annie Ito. The Chief Executive Officer of Bright Flow Logistics Services is here to create more awareness of the maritime activities in Nigeria. You are welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, let's start this conversation with the maritime industry as a whole. What is this industry all about?
The maritime industry is everything about sea and the activities therein, and there are lots and lots and lots of business activities that can create potential growth for our economy in the maritime industries, which, as we discussed, we're going to know most of them, and we see how we can encourage everyone to come into the sector.
Okay, how lucrative can this industry be with the federal government's drive for the diversification of the nation's economy to boost the nation's GDP?
Maritime sector, like I always say, is is grossly overlooked, because its potential, like I say, is quite enormous. And when we talk about the maritime sector as a drive to increase our GDP, I know what I'm talking about because I've been in the sector and I know the capacity and I know what can come out from the maritime sector. Looking at both the offshore and the onshore activities, from let's look at the offshore activities, which is maybe fishing, towage, salvage, and all of that. Then we look at the onshore activities, by which I also practice, is the entire maritime business, and we consider a whole lot of the sector in the government that are managing or overseeing activities in that sector, which there's quite a network of industries that are practicing one thing or the other in the sector. Then looking at the private sector as well, which I also belong, individually or maybe as a company, there's so much that we can do to drive the economy. From if you look at want to work as an employee of the government, the Nigerian port is there, the MASA, the other sectors that are overseeing the activities of the sector. Then looking at the private sector, what do? We are looking at maritime trade and logistics, by which has to do with the maritime transport itself, the shipping, the trading through the maritime waters and all of that.
Okay, based on what you've said here on the transportation issue, I know that there is no sector without challenges. Definitely the maritime industry too must have its own challenges. What are those challenges that are affecting the industry not to grow?
That of the maritime sector is quite big. I'm saying so because I am an insider and I know the challenges we face each day. For instance, now, considering the environment by which I exist, which is the Cross River State and Calabar capital city, which is supposed to be the port city. Now, we check and we see that we don't have facilities and the poor road network. The facility affects the activities, the traffic of the port, and also the situation of the port, which we have been expecting the dredging to start as quickly as possible. So there are a whole lot of challenges that is affecting the activities of the maritime sector in Nigeria.
Okay, will you say Nigeria has been benefiting from this maritime sector, and how are Nigerians exploring the industry?
There's still no much awareness, I will say so, because over the years, Nigerians have been benefiting from or concentrating on a particular sector of the maritime activities, which is the oil and gas, and there are a whole lot that can also boost the economy, which is looking at the trading itself, like the agro business, how we can process, for export and all of that. We have been depending on imports over the years, and if we look inward, we will see that maritime trade is both import and export. So for you to concentrate on one sector of the economy, you're not really going to benefit from it as it's supposed to be. So now we are creating a whole lot of awareness and talking about maritime trade and logistics, which has to do with import and export business, most especially looking at the non-oil sector, the agro business, the food processes, the packaging, the documentation, and every other thing that can help us to take our product through the maritime the maritime waterways to international markets.
Okay, let's talk a little about security. How secure is this industry?
The security situation generally is not limited to the maritime sector. We all know that globally the world complain mostly about security, and looking at that of the maritime sector, well, the sea pirates and some pockets of insecure activities are there, but that shouldn't be a problem because activities is still going on there day by day.
Okay, what are your suggestions for the improvement of this sector?
My suggestion is that the federal government should create massive awareness, sensitization programs that will be able to, create jobs, help people to come into the sector in order to create jobs and boost their own financial stability. Because maritime business, like I said, is like a gold mine that is waiting to be tapped. There are a whole lot to be done in the port, and if the federal government can take it upon themselves to create an awareness to tell people that this and this and this is what you can do within the port area, both onshore and offshore, I think it will go a long way to help the citizens.
A lot of people believe that maritime industry is for men. You are here as a woman. How do you see the industry being an opposite sex?
Well, I have been hearing that over and over again. How did you get in there? It's supposed to be just for women, only men and all of that. I want to say that maritime sector is not gender-based. Anybody can do maritime business. Because the understanding over the years is that when you just hear the name maritime, or you have to jump into the water to do some kind of activities and come out, then that means you're doing maritime business. No, at the comfort of your home, you can carry on maritime business. In your office, you can carry on maritime business. That is why I'm saying that it's a very wide industry that so many people need to be aware and to come in order to create wealth.
Okay, finally, what is your message to the federal government as well as individuals concerning the strength or the improvement on this sector in order to have a better boost, especially on trade in Nigeria?
To individuals, I want to encourage you to come in, to learn, have knowledge, and to practice, carry on any kind of activities in the maritime sector in order to boost your own economic growth. Then to the federal government, I want to say, please, we make an appeal that look into the sector and see how you can, make it to be durable for us to practice, and create wealth in the sector in order to boost the economy of the nation.
Thank you very much, the Chief Executive Officer, Bright Flow Logistics Services. We're glad to have you back in our studio anytime, any day. Thanks for being part of our news tonight. We'll take a break for now in no news when we return. Stay with us. Thanks for being there. And now to the rest of our bulletin. Excursion over the years is customary to most schools in Nigeria, which is part of educational value, exposing the children to learning. Against this background, the pupils and students of Phillips Standard Montessori Academy visited Nta Calabar to gain knowledge of television broadcasting. Erika Ibi tells us more of the excursion.
Obete Nomini, in charge of the excursion, brought the pupils and students of the school to Nta Calabar, who were received by a principal officer, Mr. Kingsley Tuko, who later conducted them round the facilities. Some of the sections visited include the news department, editing suite, master control room, as well as the studio. The various officers engaged the pupils and students in an interactive session on how the different departments work together to create and achieve picture and audio signal on the screen. Some of the children and their teachers applaud the management of NTA for the knowledge gained to expand the scope of their learning.
The news and current affairs write the news and send it to the editing suite.
The editing suite, they edit the information gotten from the news and current affairs room.
We felt it's right timing to take them to NTA, which coincidentally is very close to our school as a first point of call, so they get to see what people who are involved in journalism and everything that has to do with mass media, what they do.
The exposure alone has gone a long way because it is something they will live with for the rest of their lives. They will never forget this experience. They will never forget what the newsroom looks like, the broadcasting room looks like, the pictures. If they see it anywhere in the television, oh, I've been here.
The various officers in Nta Calabar advised the children to be good ambassadors of their school while pursuing their career with passion. In Calabar, Erika Ivi, NTA News.
And finally, a recap of the major stories. The state governor, Ben Ayade, has signed the magistrate jurisdiction order into law. The Cross River State House of Assembly has passed the Teachers Continuous Training Institute Bill 2022. It was also in the news that President Muhammadu Buhari and his Cameroonian counterpart, Paul Biya, have jointly inaugurated a Kokumfum border bridge in Ikom local government area. That is it on our news tonight. Thanks for watching and do have a lovely weekend. Good night.